Welcome to our journey through history as we explore the key events that led to the establishment of the State of Israel. Our story takes us to a land steeped in ancient narratives, a land that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of religions, and the enduring presence of a people tethered to it for millennia. This is a story of resilience, of tragedy, of hope, and ultimately, of the complexities of nation-building in a region marked by deep-rooted tensions. Join me as we delve into the historical tapestry that shaped the modern state of Israel. Our story begins not in 1948, as many might believe, but millennia ago. The Jewish connection to this land stretches back to the very dawn of their history. We find it etched in the ancient scriptures, in the very bedrock of their collective memory. This land, then known as Canaan, became the cradle of their faith, the backdrop against which their prophets spoke and their kings ruled. From the time of Abraham's journey to the kingdoms of David and Solomon, a distinct cultural and religious identity blossomed, forever entwining a people with this particular corner of the earth. Even after the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans in 70 CE and the scattering of the Jewish people, what we now call the diaspora, the yearning for their ancestral home remained a powerful, enduring force. For centuries, this yearning echoed in their prayers, their songs, their very being. As the 19th century dawned, a new and powerful movement began to take shape, fueled by the winds of change sweeping across Europe. Zionism. At its heart lay a simple yet profound idea: the creation of a Jewish state in their ancient homeland, Palestine. Theodor Herzl, a visionary journalist, emerged as a leading figure in this movement. He recognized the rising tide of anti-Semitism in Europe and believed that the only solution was the establishment of a Jewish state, a safe haven from persecution. Herzl's call resonated deeply with Jews facing discrimination and violence. They began to envision a future where they were no longer guests in foreign lands, but masters of their own destiny. The Zionist movement gained momentum, laying the groundwork for a momentous shift in the global order. By 1914, the world was engulfed in the chaos of the First World War. In its crucible, empires would crumble and new realities would be forged. For the Zionist movement, the war presented both challenges and unexpected opportunities. In 1917, a pivotal moment arrived: the Balfour Declaration. Issued by the British government, this document expressed support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This declaration, though seemingly a beacon of hope, was fraught with ambiguity. Palestine at the time was not an empty land awaiting its rightful owners. It was home to a substantial Arab population, whose own history and claims to the land could not be ignored. The Balfour Declaration, while recognizing the aspirations of one people, inadvertently sowed the seeds of future conflict between two communities with legitimate claims to the same land. Chapter 4: Shadows and Strife, the British Mandate, 1920 to 1948. Following the First World War, Great Britain was granted a mandate over Palestine by the League of Nations, a mandate intended to pave the way for eventual independence. This period witnessed a significant influx of Jewish immigrants, fleeing persecution in Europe, particularly in the wake of the horrors of the Holocaust. This wave of immigration, while a testament to human resilience, also exacerbated tensions with the Arab population. Land became a point of contention, as did access to resources and political power. The British, caught between their commitments to both Jews and Arabs, struggled to maintain order in an increasingly volatile environment. The stage was set for a confrontation that would have far-reaching consequences. Chapter 5: A Land Divided, the UN Partition Plan of 1947. By 1947, it was clear that the British mandate in Palestine was unsustainable. The question of its future was handed over to the newly formed United Nations. The UN proposed a solution: the partition of Palestine into two independent states, one Jewish, one Arab, with Jerusalem designated as an international zone. The Jewish leadership, though accepting a state smaller than they had hoped for, saw it as a pragmatic step towards establishing a homeland. The Arab world, however, vehemently rejected the partition plan. They saw it as a betrayal, a denial of their own historical and cultural connection to the land. The stage was set for a showdown, a clash not just of ideologies, but of deeply held beliefs and aspirations. Chapter 6. A Nation is Born, the Declaration and the War of 1948. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, a leading figure in the Zionist movement, stood before a gathering in Tel Aviv and solemnly declared the birth of the State of Israel. The joy of this momentous occasion, however, was short-lived. The very next day, the armies of neighboring Arab states, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and Iraq, marched into the newly declared state. The War of Independence, as it came to be known, was a desperate struggle for survival for the nascent Israeli state, a David and Goliath struggle against seemingly insurmountable odds. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the Israelis, fueled by a potent mix of idealism and desperation, fought tenaciously, repelling the Arab armies and securing their hard-won independence. Chapter 7. Victory's Shadow Displacement and the Search for Peace. The War of Independence, while securing Israel's existence, came at a heavy cost. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced from their homes, becoming refugees in neighboring countries. This mass exodus, known as the Nakba or catastrophe in Arabic, remains a deeply traumatic event in Palestinian collective memory. The war also solidified the geopolitical map of the region, with Israel controlling more territory than allocated under the UN partition plan. In the aftermath, Israel sought recognition from the international community, while also grappling with the challenges of integrating a wave of new immigrants and building a nation from the ground up. The Arab world, reeling from defeat, refused to recognize Israel's legitimacy, vowing to continue the struggle for what they saw as a just resolution. Chapter 8. A Complex Legacy, Recognition, Conflict, and the Unfinished Quest for Peace. In the decades since its founding, Israel has transformed itself into a vibrant democracy and a technological powerhouse. Yet the shadow of the 1948 war and the unresolved Palestinian question continue to loom large. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has become one of the most intractable in the world, marked by cycles of violence, failed peace initiatives, and a seemingly unbridgeable chasm of mistrust. The building of Israeli settlements in the occupied territories, the construction of a separation barrier, and the plight of Palestinian refugees remain major obstacles to peace. Despite these challenges, there have been glimmers of hope. The Oslo Accords of the 1990s, for instance, offered a brief moment of optimism. However, a lasting solution, one that addresses the core issues of both sides, remains elusive. Outro: A Story Unfinished. The creation of Israel was a pivotal moment in history, with lasting impacts on the Middle East and global politics. It is a story interwoven with triumph and tragedy, hope and despair, a stark reminder of the complexities of nation-building in a region riven by historical grievances and competing claims. As we conclude our journey, we are left with a sense of the unfinished nature of this story, a story still being written today in the lives of Israelis and Palestinians who share this land. Thank you for joining us on this historical journey. Let us hope that future chapters will be defined by peace, understanding, and a shared future for all who call this ancient land home.